Yo G, it's Tatenda Mikey bringing you another key video, and today I want to share something deep with you guys. I want to share something that is a part of me that I really want to give unto you guys, which is a video that is going to be amazing content today. Yes, let's go! But more so it's going to be about my interpretation about what being a Zimbabwean means to me whilst living in the United Kingdom. So I wanted to go over in regards to what I've had to learn, what I've had to unlearn, but more importantly what I've gone to appreciate about being Zimbabwean, but more importantly finding my own self-identity and paving my own way in regards to living in a country that perhaps obviously as not only the people don't look like me, but more importantly may not have the same background as me. So I'm just gonna be giving off my part. Everybody else says their story, and if you do, let me know in the comments down below. Tell me your experience. I want to hear, I want to connect. Let us connect. You get me? It's just gonna be an introduction about the perceptions, and then I'm gonna go into the positives about being a Zimbabwean, and also the debatable matters that will come with being not necessarily a Zimbabwean, but I think at how different people find their foothold in regards to living in a country that is not only different from them, but more importantly is how they are able to maintain their roots but also bearing fruits that may be in another place at the same time. I also want to go over another topic due to the recent occurrences that have happened around the world. I did make a video about this, but then I felt that I needed to do a better version to encompass and better display my part in regards to how I feel about myself as Zimbabwean, but more importantly about a bigger topic that I'll explain at the end. So if you know what you need to do right now, yes you do, yes you do, yes you do, yes you do. If you relate to this, comment down below. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you want to share with more of your Zimbabwean friends and perhaps anybody else that you know would like this amazing content that I'm making for you, my God. No! Let's get into it. So, bit of a rundown. Zimbabwe is a country located in Africa, above South Africa, but between Botswana and Mozambique. Yeah, the teapot country right there. And it's a country that has diverse not only culture and heritage in regards to two tribes, I believe, the Shona tribe and the Ndebele tribe, and speaks the languages of not only just English but also Shona and Ndebele, and a bit of Zulu and Tswana as well, depending on the areas you are. So when it comes to being a Zimbabwean, there is this false perception that falls beyond its greatness, I should say. There's a great history embodied in our country, funny enough, but there is a person that has that has built it but also tarnished the reputation of what Zimbabwe is. And this person has in some cases broken the narrative of what Zimbabwe is because of the person's certain actions. Now in regards to how I feel about the person, I see you're trying to do good, but as for me, having to have grown in Zimbabwe but also being born of the two cultures, you can see that more in my video Draw My Life right here, linked above. Right here. Why am I doing this dance? And having to have come from that background to here has led me to almost rediscover and revamp my ideas based around what being a Zimbabwean means to me. And as much as I love being British, I love being a Zimbabwean more in regards to those are my roots, and as much as I'm bearing fruits, oof, bars, I still need to water them. Oof, double bars. Let's go, Mikey. Hey, yeah. So let's get into the positives about not only being a Zimbabwean here, but being a Zimbabwean overall. So the first thing I want to really talk about is the community and the language. When I came here, I sadly did not have that many quote-unquote black and or Zimbabwean friends that I could easily link up with like down the road or thing, because they either lived about like 3 to 4 to 5 hours away, and I was literally, instead of being fresh off the boat, I was fresh off the plane from Zimbabwe, and I was trying to understand being in a different country and learning not more so the language, because colonialism, hello, no more so because of the language. It was more so about understanding the culture and the people, so that I'll be able to not blend but more so adapt and learn ways of how to be my own person with different groups of people. Because obviously when you come into a different country, not necessarily Britain, you're gonna have to learn and the customs of the country. The main thing was just like, when I did get the chance to meet my friends, yo, these are guys I've known since primary, my guy. These guys, yeah, when I met them, I went to Northampton, and there's a lot of places around England that is like very diverse in communities, not necessarily Zimbabwean but African and Caribbean. So, but there are some that are very localized, like Southampton and Luton. Like, you know, guys from Luton, you know, yeah, like there's a lot of Zims there still. When I went there and we were able to just connect once again, it felt like being back at home, because that's what home was. It was a community. It was an essence of like you belong to something bigger than yourself. And that's one thing I was really proud of when I got the chance to meet my friends, when I got the chance to really meet other Zimbabweans as well. Perhaps because I kind of grew up in a very white neighborhood, and I'm not gonna deny, bruv, this was like cauliflower white lab. When I mean, yeah, you see one black person, you're like, oh my gosh, thank you very much. It was just refreshing to be with my peeps. Like, I understand when people say when you meet certain people from your country, you just feel at home, because the community aspect, even though it may not be with auntie or uncle, it's still dope. Like when you get to meet your friends, and the language was so good to just kind of talk Shona, because I speak Shona but I don't understand the belly. I am able to speak it and I am able to understand it, but I understand more than I speak Debele, but I can speak and understand Shona. But the best part about this was, yeah, because I'm more fluent in English, when I was speaking to some of like the Zimbabwean friends when I was speaking to some of my Zimbabwean friends that introduced me to their Zimbabwean friends, when I spoke English, they thought I was British first and then Zimbabwean second, which is very interesting, because when I spoke Shona, like, ndinotaura Shona yacho saka kana wakutaura nevanhu so vanomboti usakutaura chirungu chipapo futi mfane wewe, unotaura balance, I just had to give off like props on regards to like, be it here in Zimbabwe, even growing up, I'm grateful for the fact that the community aspect was really supportive, was really engaging, but more so it was really nurturing of the fact, like, even though you may speak differently, even though you may look different, the fact that you are Zimbabwean, you are cool with us. The second part is now the arts and heritage, and this is something that this was kind of like in the previous video, but I'm still gonna talk about it. Google did a doodle in regards to giving like commemoration or celebration of Zimbabwe's culture, more so through its musical instruments called the bira, or the African piano, which I also have. And it was by an artist called Helen LaRue, and the video, I'm just gonna play a bit of it here. It was so refreshing to see the culture being conceptualized into art and then made into a piece that is accessible and understood by various groups, regardless of your race, whether you are or you're not from Zimbabwe, and regardless of your age. And it allowed me to really kind of like reflect and appreciate as well the arts and culture. And even though it was seen as a taboo to do art back in the, like, I'm talking like 2000, man, I feel old, bruv. There was an aspect where the culture was being expressed through the arts, was being expressed through stone sculpture. I know certain friends that do stone sculpture, and painters and artists, musicians, and this is what was being embodied not only through the piece but more so through the, I think it's the philosophy of what being a Zimbabwean is. Like, we express our purest selves through our creativity, and this is why I'm so drawn to art. And I'm grateful for the fact of not only being a Zimbabwean, but more so of the fact, like, as much as we may be in an economical bust at the moment, we have now the opportunity of the internet to now explore and widen our reach, not just through the arts but also through anything we'd like to do. So whether you're here in Britain, whether you're in America, or anywhere in the world, the beauty about being a Zimbabwean is, I feel, greatly expressed through that. Besides the analytical logistics and the accounting, all those other ventures that require more of like a structured and analytical perspective, creativity, I feel like, embodies every one of us. So when when you express yourself, you gotta go with a bit of a finesse, be it whatever you do. And I think that's the beauty about, specifically, I feel, for me, since I'm being a Zimbabwean. Now, I'm about to go into like not really the disadvantages, but more so the debatable topics that I've come across during my life, my 9 years being in Britain, but also 9, 10, 11, 12. By my 16 years of my life, yes, I remember math. My 16 years of being in Zimbabwe as well, and I wanted to give off my take on certain things that I feel are present, but perhaps not, maybe not discussed, but more so it's like something that we know and is kind of like a saucer, like a flying saucer around us. So I'm about to go on the debatable matter, should I say. So the politics. As you know, Zimbabwe has had its fair share of controversies in regards to the politics and how the country is run, due to our former president that was leading it. And as much as he did try, I say that with a try bit of more confidence, he did try to help us. In regards of how it was run, it wasn't run properly, because the two opposing parties, I feel like they greatly distorted the potential of what Zimbabwe could be. Granted, we just come from colonialism, so we needed leadership in understanding and almost rehabilitating ourselves to our, not only our Zimbabwean pride, but our individual and African pride. But at the same time, it was just how it was handled, to some point in degree, felt more diabolical by certain parties, especially when it came to elections. Like, I remember this one time, I think it was around 2007 or 8, there was the election, and then literally a group of supporters, let me just keep it brief because you know who I'm talking about and thing, but a group of supporters came with like knives and in my neighborhood, and they were like saying, if you don't support us, we're gonna kill your family, we're gonna kill and take your stuff. And they were like coming in like not hundreds, perhaps like 30 or 40 people, and this is guys with like sticks, some with machetes, all that stuff. And that, like, I'm like, how old was I? I think I was like either 10 or 9 years old, and I'm seeing this, I'm seeing my neighbors get raided, bro. And that completely, and I could understand why my parents and my relatives had a negative persona when it came to the president, because of how his party was being run. And it's very hard for me to say that I don't really like to be political, but at the same time, it's very hard for me to trust somebody when your choice of protecting and serving and giving guidance to your people comes through an act of violence and tyranny. I don't get that. So that's a bit of an issue. I think it really is more masked by anybody who's Zimbabwean, they'll be like, oh, you're from Zimbabwe, yeah, so, oh, that guy, you know, that guy. It's really annoying when you're being graded by a person rather than by your own potential, you know what I mean? And bro, the amount of times I've spoken to people, this is not just even like black people, white people as well, like they'll be like, oh, so where are you from? I'm like, I'm from Zimbabwe. Oh my, I don't like him, he ruined everything. And I'm just like, yeah, but y'all ruined us first though. I'm just saying. It is what it is. History is written by your scholars. So I think most in Zimbabwe, it depends on which side you're on, because obviously with the police force and the police brutality that is there, it really comes down to the individual, really. Like, no matter who's the president, no matter whose thing, as much as we pray and we want to have somebody to vouch for our ideals for a better country, at the same time it's within our own hands to create that idea into reality. But in the end, like I said, Zimbabwe's in our hands. The t-shirt really says it. It's literally in our hands. And if you're Zimbabwean, it's literally in your hands as well. You may or may not take part in it, but at the same time, how you live your life and how you choose to basically live your life after this is more so of an accomplishment, because you've gone through something so tragic. But more importantly as well is how you then progress on from those experiences, like currently the one we're going through, and to something much bigger, much more better. And then it's not really an issue, but I do feel like the languages and more so the tribes is is something that I feel is also embodied in the not only in the culture of Zimbabwe, but more so in the mindsets of certain Zimbabweans, because I was very apparent to this when I was growing up, but more importantly as well, it was less here but more there, because in Zimbabwe I remember this experience where I was, because my parents are half, like my dad's Shona, and then my mom's Debele / South African, so, and my dad is also kind of a bit of Zambian as well. It's weird. It's a weird mix. I don't know. But because it's like Shona and Debele, it's not like tribes that kill each other, but there is a negative aura, should I say. There's a negative essence from my experience, from what I've seen in regards to when showing people meet with develop people. And I'm not saying it's for everybody. It's not for everybody, it's just from what I've seen. But at the same time, I remember this experience. I think I was like 7 or 7. Yeah, I was in year 2, 7 years old, and I was going to see my grandma in Bulawayo, and then I was asked by the kids around, like, they were saying like, oh, what's your name? Like, and then I said my full name. And then because it's a Shona surname, they're like, oh, you're from North, we don't want to play with you. Nani? It was so interesting. Of like, wow, you don't want to play with me because I come from that tribe. And I can understand, because they said in history that a person had killed a lot of Debele people. So a Shona person had killed a lot of Debele people, so there's a hatred due to the history that has been embodied by that in regards to Shona people. And even some of my relatives still, bruv, I ain't gonna lie, yeah, like, you be looking at Unc and it's like, Unc, why you saying you people, bruv? I'm your nephew, bruv. Like, it's interesting, because when you're a mix of the two, it's interesting how, man, shut up, bruv. It's interesting how different communities take you. So it's not really a language barrier. Like, I still speak Shona. I may not be able to speak Debele, but at the same time I can understand. And this is why I say, like, the community aspect is so good in regards to, like, to some point and degree, it doesn't really matter where you come from, which tribe or who you are. It's more so, what do you do, who are you as a person. And I think it's now growing more and more better from how I used to be when I was young. But I wanted to go into a much more encompassing topic that will envelop everything together and put this like in a nice hot cross bun. You get me? And the final note I really wanted to make to encompass this massive thing was to really talk about a topic that goes deeper, not just being proud of your country, but it's also being proud of yourself as a human being. The world is currently going through a process of awakening in regards to topics such as racism, prejudice, and also discrimination are now being brought to the forefront due to the deaths of not only George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery, but also those that have come prior to all of them. And it was mostly just due to George Floyd's incident that incited this awakening, should I say. And I was really reflecting that over the past 2 months, I believe that's when we had our 40 years of independence as a country in Zimbabwe. And it got me to reflect not only the aspects that I'm proud to have, that I've learned from the country that I've grown up from and also grown to love even more, but more so really it's about almost the aspect about being not just a Zimbabwean, not just being an African, it's about being a black person. And there is a deeper issue. I could really go into this, but I feel like other people have also talked about this greatly. But I feel like for my part, there is a moment now where everybody, regardless of your ethnicity, complexion, it's now affecting the human race entirely, because it's gone to the point where it's just the police force in general, it needs to be changed and adapted and or revised better in regards to how to apprehend somebody. But more so, it's a mindset and a subconscious issue that affects everybody. It's not more so just about like the police. When you see, like, when a black person sees the police, you get scared. For what reason? I don't know why, but it's a subconscious thing. And or of a police officer seeing a group of kids just talking to each other, and then you're just thinking they're doing drugs or anything, when it's just like, no, they're just talking. We're living in the times where everything is just coming to light, and I just wanted to also give reverence to not only the protesters that are going and peacefully are emphasizing the need for change, not only for the judicial, and the legislative system, but more so it's to do with us individually as people, that these types of actions shouldn't be happening. And worst of all, we need to change for the better, and it's goes down to the individual to change that. And it's through the communities of not only from our backgrounds of our countries, but also of those who aspire to create that change, that will be able to achieve it. I am proud to be a black man, but I'm also proud to be an African, and importantly also Zimbabwean, because it's not only just about my ethnicity, it's more so just about where I've come from as well, because seeing everything that has cascaded over the past, I say 2 decades from my life, from the 2008 elections in Zimbabwe to its downfall in regards to its recession and greatest inflation ever in history. We had $1 trillion, bruv. I was a trillionaire, you get me, bruv. I was making bits still. But more so, it's I would come all the way to 2011, and also the riots in London, and even, but more importantly now, it's the protests that are now creating a change that enough is enough. And I just really hope and pray that everybody out there is safe, because the world is in our hands. I say Zimbabwe is in my hands because I'm a Zimbabwean, but more so the world is in our hands, and we have to create a better future than what's transpired before. We cannot go back to how we lived before. We have to evolve, develop, and be better. how long to take that, it can either be very instantaneous and or it'll take time, but we have to be patient, not only with each other but more so with ourselves in doing so, being respectful but also being decisive and also taking action. There are leaders that will speak better about this. I'm just a guy who's an artist who likes to draw and likes to eat pizza and likes to watch Spider-Man. I'm still an individual who aspires for greater things in life, and as well I am a black man, but I am also more, as always, I'm a human being. Our history is embodied in us, but it's now time for that history to live and to, more importantly, evolve into creating a better reality, a better tomorrow for ourselves and also for our children. It's gonna be interesting later on when I do become a dad. But for now, it's interesting times. But I have faith in us that we, no matter your race, creed, color, sexuality, gender, I do believe that the future is looking prosperous for everybody and we will overcome. Thanks for watching. Comment down below if this was something that you connected with and perhaps you have a similar story. I'm loving to hear your point about this and also to hear your story about how you become an individual throughout this time. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next vid. Skadoosh.